He built his empire on charm, charity, and good deeds, while a 12-year-old girl rotted in the darkness beneath his house for 10 long years. In the summer of 2011, the town of Brookhaven liked to tell itself it was safe. It sat on the edge of a sprawling lake in upstate New York, all clean sidewalks, manicured lawns, and weekend farmers markets. People walked dogs at sunset. Kids biked in quiet cul-de-sacs. Crime, when it occurred, was usually minor: a stolen bike, a broken car window, or a drunken fight outside the bar. And then there was the Hawthorne estate. The Hawthornes lived on a hill overlooking the lake in a mansion people whispered about but rarely entered. A 40-rooms mansion. A private drive. Stone lions guarded a wrought iron gate that glinted in the morning light. The man who owned it all was Richard Hawthorne, 52, a self-made real estate mogul. He sponsored charity galas, paid for scholarships, and donated to the police department's new equipment fund. In local papers he was called the man with the golden touch. His wife, Sophia, 45, had grown up in a very different world. A small apartment, a single mother, and 2 jobs by the time she was 16. When she married Richard 8 years earlier, she'd married into more than money. She'd married into status, into safety, into the kind of life she'd once only seen on TV. But Sophia hadn't come alone. She brought her daughter. Her name was Emily Carter. She was 12 years old when she first moved into the Hawthorne mansion. Emily wasn't loud. She wasn't difficult. Teachers remembered her as quiet, observant, always sitting near a window. She loved drawing lakes and trees and houses, tiny spaces where people looked safe. To outsiders, they appeared to be a blended family that had worked well. A powerful stepfather who took pride in raising a daughter. A grateful mother who'd finally found security. A shy teenager who was just adjusting to a new school and a new life. It would take 10 years, and one terrifying phone call, to show the truth. This is the story of what happened under that house. The first signs. For the first few months, nothing in Brookhaven looked wrong. Neighbors saw Richard washing his vintage cars on Sunday mornings, shirt sleeves rolled up, laughing with the mail carrier. They saw Sophia organizing charity events from the patio, always with a glass of white wine and a careful smile. They saw Emily sometimes too, on the balcony staring down at the lake. What no one saw were the nights. It started with footsteps. Emily would hear him outside her bedroom door long after everyone else was supposed to be asleep. Slow, heavy, measured. Sometimes the handle would turn just a little, then stop. Sometimes it would open. The details of what happened next would later appear in court transcripts and victim statements. For our purposes, they don't need to be described. It's enough to say what the law eventually said clearly. It was not a relationship. It was not a mistake. It was rape, the repeated sexual abuse of a minor by the man who was supposed to protect her. When Emily finally tried to tell someone, it wasn't a teacher. It wasn't the police. It was her mother. Sophia listened. She listened to the shaking voice, to the broken sentences, to the way her daughter couldn't even say certain words out loud. Then Sophia did something that would haunt an entire courtroom years later. She closed the door. She told Emily, "You must have misunderstood. He loves you. He loves us. Don't destroy this family." The next day, Richard acted like nothing had happened. He joked at breakfast. He kissed Sophia on the cheek in front of their staff. He handed Emily an envelope with cash for art supplies, and told her, in a voice soft enough to be mistaken for kindness, that they should keep things between them. From that moment, Emily understood something cruel and simple. No one in that house was going to save her. In the fall of 2012, when Emily was 13, she vanished from the town's view. One Monday morning, her teachers noticed her seat was empty. By Wednesday, a guidance counselor called the Hawthorne estate. Sophia answered. Her voice was calm, almost apologetic. "Oh, didn't anyone tell you?" she said. "Emily's been accepted to a boarding school in Switzerland. It was all very last minute. We've had so much going on, I forgot to notify the school." The counselor wrote "transferred boarding school" on her file. There was no missing persons report, no flyers, no alerts, just a quiet note in a folder and a child's name slowly fading out of conversations. In Brookhaven, people moved in and out all the time. Tech jobs, transfers, promotions. A girl going off to Europe? It fit the story people already liked to tell about the rich. That story, of course, was a lie. Emily had never seen Switzerland. Instead, she saw a basement door. On the lowest level of the Hawthorne mansion, past the wine cellar and the storage rooms, there was a locked steel door that most staff never entered. Richard referred to it as the old safe room from when he first built the house. Security. Panic room. Nothing to worry about. Behind that door was a concrete room with a single bed bolted to the floor, a small sink, a toilet, and a narrow window up near the ceiling that showed only a strip of sky. That was where they put her. The first time Emily realized she wasn't just being punished, the door had been locked for hours. She pounded until her fists bled. No one came. Eventually she stopped screaming. Eventually she learned the rules. Meals would come. A tray slid in, the door opened just a crack, always when Richard was out and Sophia was alone. No talking. No questions. She could shower twice a week in the unfinished utility room next door, under supervision. If she cried too loudly, the lights went out early. Above her, the mansion continued to host parties. Guests laughed over catered dinners while, directly beneath their polished shoes, a teenage girl sat staring at a bare wall, counting water stains because it was the only way to keep track of days. Years passed. In 2015, Richard's company expanded. He was photographed cutting ribbons, speaking at conferences, and shaking hands with politicians. Articles called him a pillar of the community. In 2017, he donated a wing to the local hospital. A plaque with his name went up near the entrance. In 2019, he gave a speech about protecting our children at a charity gala for abused youth. During those same years, Emily learned how long it took footsteps to cross the floor directly above her. She measured seasons by the temperature of the concrete. She scratched tiny marks on the wall with a fork until the fork was taken away. That might have been the end of the story, a crime buried forever in concrete and silence. If not for one small, almost accidental decision. Richard decided to remodel. The crack in the wall. In the spring of 2021, 10 years after Emily first moved into the Hawthorne estate and nearly 9 years after she had last been seen in public, Richard hired a new property management company. They brought in outside contractors, electricians, inspectors. One of them was Detective Aaron Cole's younger brother. Aaron had worked with the Brookhaven Police Department for 11 years. He'd seen domestic violence, DUIs, and the occasional homicide. He thought he understood how evil could hide in nice houses. But even he wasn't prepared for the phone call he got on Thursday afternoon. "Hey Aaron," his brother's voice came through, sounding shaky. "You know that big mansion up on Ridgeview? Something's wrong here. We were tracing wiring in the lower level and we found a door that's not on the plans. The owner got really mad when we opened it. Like really mad. It felt off." Off was usually where Aaron's cases began. He asked a few questions. The answers were strange. The door had industrial-grade locks. There was a keypad. The area around it was clean, too clean. And when they'd first cracked the seal, his brother swore he heard something inside. Or someone. A muffled sound. A startled movement. Then Richard himself appeared out of nowhere, red-faced, ordering them away from that part of the house, insisting it was storage for sensitive documents. Something about that last phrase stuck in Aaron's mind. He'd seen Richard at fundraisers. He'd seen him at the station donating money. But he'd never seen him mentioned in any incident reports that actually involved his own address. That night, Aaron pulled up property records. The blueprints the town had on file listed only one basement level with a wine cellar and storage. No safe room. No steel door. No mention of reinforced concrete. The next day he mentioned it to his superior, Lieutenant Harris. Probably nothing, Harris said, but he didn't close the file. We'll take a ride. The welfare check. It started as what they called a welfare check. No warrant. No raid. Just two officers, Aaron and his partner, Detective Lisa Moreno, pulling up the long drive in a marked cruiser on a gray Friday afternoon. Richard met them at the door with the same smile he wore in all his public photos. "Officers," he said, spreading his arms. "What a surprise. What can I do for our brave men and women in blue today?" They told him they'd had a report from a contractor about a possible safety issue in the lower level. They had an obligation to make sure no one was in danger. A small fire hazard, a wiring mistake, anything like that. Richard's eyes flicked, just for a second, toward the staircase that led down. "There's no one in danger here," he said. "You have my word. This is my home. You can't just wander around because some electrician got spooked in a rich man's basement." He was right. They couldn't. Not without more. Lisa thanked him, apologized for the inconvenience, and they left. Then she turned to Aaron in the driveway and said, "We both heard that, right?" "Hear what?" "When I mentioned no one in danger," she said. He didn't say, "Of course not." He said, "You have my word. Innocent people don't talk like lawyers." They went back to the station and started digging. The missing girl on paper. If you pull enough threads, something eventually comes loose. On a hunch, Aaron ran the name Hawthorne through old school records, not just police databases. Yearbooks. Attendance logs. He found something that made his hands stop on the keyboard. Emily Carter, 9th grade, Brookhaven High School. Last present, October 12, 2012. A note in the file said, "Transferred, boarding school overseas. Parent contact, Mother Sophia Hawthorne." There was no name for the boarding school. No address. No transfer request. Just a line. He tried DMV records. No driver's license. No ID. Credit history? None. Medical records? The last known visit was a pediatric checkup in 2011. It was as if Emily had simply stopped existing at 13. People move. People change their names. People cut ties. But children don't usually disappear on paper without leaving a single trace. Not unless someone helps them disappear. Aaron pulled up missing persons reports again, county-wide, statewide. Nothing under Emily Carter or Emily Hawthorne. "Why didn't anyone report her missing?" he muttered. Lisa leaned over his shoulder. "Maybe the person who should have reported her," she said, "was the same person who made sure nobody did." Suspicion wasn't enough. They needed something that would justify a warrant, probable cause strong enough to convince a judge to let them into that basement. They started small. First, interviews. They talked to old teachers. The guidance counselor who'd taken the call from Sophia years before remembered feeling uneasy. She sounded rehearsed, the counselor said. I asked which school and she laughed a little and said, "Oh, you wouldn't know it. Very exclusive." I made a note to follow up. Then we got slammed with other cases and I didn't. I've thought about that every year since. They talked to former staff from the Hawthorne house. Housekeepers, landscapers, a chef who'd lasted only 6 months. One housekeeper, Rosa, remembered a strange rule. The madam, she told us, Rosa said, never open the downstairs steel door. That's my husband's private archive. she said. But sometimes I heard something. A sound like someone crying into a pillow. I told myself it was the pipes. Another staff member mentioned something else. There was this tray, he said. Metal tray that the missus would always take downstairs herself. Like clockwork. Same time every day. She didn't want any of us near that part of the house. Hint by hint, the picture sharpened. A locked door was not on the blueprints. A teenage girl who vanished only on paper. A house where crying in the walls could be explained away as plumbing. Aaron and Lisa compiled affidavits, witness statements, school records, property plans. Then they took it to a judge. On a rainy Tuesday morning, the judge signed a search warrant for the Hawthorne estate, specifically authorizing entry into the lower-level rooms and any locked spaces not listed on the original building plans. Within hours, unmarked cars were heading up the hill. They had no idea what exactly they were going to find. They just knew finally that why we're going to see behind that door. The search. Richard wasn't home when they arrived. He was in the city for a meeting. Only Sophia was there, standing in the foyer in a silk robe, hair perfectly arranged, like she'd stepped out of a magazine. She smiled when she saw the officers. The smile cracked when she saw the warrant. "You can't do this," she said, but her voice had lost its warmth. "You can't just charge into people's houses." "We have a judicial order, ma'am," Aaron said, handing her the papers. "We're going to need you to step aside." Downstairs, the house felt colder. They moved past racks of wine, past shelves of labeled boxes, until they reached the steel door. The one that wasn't supposed to exist. Up close, the lock was heavier than they'd imagined. Industrial. Electronic. Lisa tried the handle. Lock. "Richard controls that door," Sophia said from behind them. Her arms were crossed. Her hands were trembling. "You're not going to find anything in there. It's just old files." "Then you won't mind if we look," Aaron replied. The department's locksmith worked quickly, attaching tools, listening for clicks. It took less than 5 minutes for the mechanism to give way. The door opened with a sound that would later echo in more than one officer's nightmares. On the other side, at first, they saw only darkness. The smell hit them next. Stale air, sweat, something metallic and sour. Not death, but not life either. A smell like years of fear. Then they saw her. She was sitting on the edge of the narrow bed, knees drawn to her chest, eyes huge in a pale, gaunt face. Her hair hung down in uneven lengths, like she'd cut it herself over and over with something dull. There was a thin scar on her cheek, a thicker one on her forearm. She blinked against the light. For a second, no one moved. Then Lisa stepped forward slowly and lowered her gun. "Hey," she said softly, the way you talk to a spooked animal. "My name is Lisa. We're police officers. You're safe now. What's your name?" The woman's lips parted. When she spoke, her voice was rough, as if she hadn't used it much. "Emily," she whispered. I think I'm Emily." In the silence that followed, Sophia made a sound, half sob, half gasp. It was the sound of a lie collapsing. Paramedics were called. They checked her vitals right there on the floor. Malnourished. Severe vitamin deficiencies. Old fractures that had healed wrong. When they asked how long she'd been down there, Emily looked at the ceiling, at the tiny strip of sky. "I stopped counting," she said. "But I was 13 when they brought me here. I think I'm 23 now. 10 years. 10 years under the feet of a town that thought it knew the Hawthornes." Richard Hawthorne didn't know any of this yet. He was still in the city, shaking hands after a meeting, when his phone buzzed again and again with missed calls from his wife. By the time he finally picked up, it was too late. Police had already secured the basement. Crime scene techs were photographing the room. Social workers were talking to Emily in gentle, careful tones. Sophia was sitting at the kitchen table, silent, staring at her hands. When Richard finally pulled into the driveway, he was met with flashing lights. He tried to bluff. "This is insane," he told the officers who met him at the door. "I've donated more to this department than your entire annual budget. Get out of my house before I have all your jobs." But the law didn't care about his donations anymore. He was read his rights and led to a squad car. At the station, they separated him and Sophia into different rooms. At first, Richard denied everything. He claimed the basement room was part of an experimental therapy retreat. He claimed Emily was mentally unstable and had chosen to stay there. His story changed each time he spoke. Sophia's story was different. For nearly 6 hours, she said nothing. Then Aaron slid a photograph across the table. A picture of Emily taken just moments after the rescue, eyes too old for her face. "She was 12, he said quietly. 12 when she told you what he was doing to her. You had options. You could have left. You could have called us. You could have walked into a police station with this child and said, 'Help us.' But you didn't." Sophia's shoulders started to shake. "You don't understand," she whispered. "You don't know what it was like before. I was nobody. I was nothing. I promised myself my daughter would never be poor. I thought, if I kept him happy, if I kept quiet, maybe he'd leave her alone." "Is that what happened?" Aaron asked. "Did he leave her alone?" Sophia covered her face with her hands. "No," she said. "It got worse. And when she said she would tell someone, he said he'd ruin us. He said he'd take everything. I panicked. I chose." She didn't finish that sentence. She didn't have to. The tape recorder captured every word. In court, the prosecutors would call it what it was: a confession of complicity. The 9 months between the rescue and the trial were some of the most detailed, painful investigative work the Brookhaven Police Department had ever done. Every inch of the Hawthorne mansion was searched. They found locks, chains, and restraints are hidden in a false panel near the basement door. A logbook where someone, likely Sophia, had recorded meal times and infractions. Infractions included talking too loudly, refusing to be grateful, and threatening to scream. Financial records showing payments for a fictional boarding school overseas, created through a shell company owned by one of Richard's business associates. The money never left his control. Old journals and drawings in the basement, where Emily had recorded pieces of her experience. "Today I heard birds, maybe spring?" He came again. "I don't want to write about it. If anyone finds this, my name is Emily. I'm real." Forensic experts confirmed the room had been used continuously for years. Scratches on the walls matched the broken nails and Emily's medical records. A small camera in the corner of the ceiling, wired to a locked DVR upstairs, showed the room from above. On those recordings, they watched time pass in a single frame. A girl pacing, sleeping, curling up on the bed. Growing older. Growing smaller. Still there. Interviews with neighbors and associates painted a picture of a man who controlled everything. Schedules, social interactions, even conversations. Richard liked to joke he'd lock up his family if he could, one colleague said. We all thought he was being dramatic. Turns out, he was just telling the truth. The district attorney's office built a case with multiple charges. Aggravated sexual assault of a minor, repeated over several years. Kidnapping in the first degree. Unlawful imprisonment, extended duration. Torture and intentional infliction of severe mental suffering. Conspiracy and aiding and abetting for Sophia. Emily, meanwhile, underwent months of medical treatment and therapy. She moved to a secure, undisclosed location with specialized trauma counselors. The district attorney, Caroline Finch, took a personal role in the case. In my career, she said at a press conference, I have seen many forms of cruelty. But there is something uniquely horrifying about a crime that happens not just in a home, but under one. A crime that required constant, daily choices to look away. The trial began in early 2022 and lasted for 6 weeks. Every day, the courthouse steps were filled with reporters, protesters, and curious locals who could not reconcile the man they'd known from charity galas with the man in handcuffs walking into the building. Inside, the prosecution called dozens of witnesses, teachers, former staff, medical experts, forensic specialists. They described in clinical detail what had been done to Emily's body and mind. They explained how long-term confinement rewires the brain, how hope withers but doesn't quite die, how even in the worst conditions, some people find a way to hold on to a tiny, stubborn belief that someone someday will open the door. Then came the day Emily took the stand. The courtroom was silent when she walked in. She was 24 now, her posture still slightly hunched from years of curling in on herself. She wore no dramatic makeup, no TV clothes, just a plain sweater and slacks and a small bracelet given to her by a counselor. She did not look at Richard when she swore to tell the truth. Her voice shook at first. Then it steadied. She described the early years in the mansion, the first time she tried to tell her mother, the basement door, the light, the way she tried to mark time. When asked about the abuse itself, she used simple, blunt words. "He raped me," she said. "He told me it was my fault. He told me no one would believe me. And when I finally said I would tell someone, they put me in that room." "Who is they?" the prosecutor asked. She looked across the courtroom at Sophia, sitting at the defense table, eyes red. "My mother," Emily said. "And him." Defense attorneys tried to undermine her, suggesting her memory could be unreliable after so much trauma and isolation. "Is it possible," one lawyer asked, "that you misinterpreted some of your experiences? That maybe things were more complicated than you remember?" Emily stared at him with a kind of tired clarity. "I was a child locked in a basement," she replied. "There is nothing complicated about that." When the jury finally went out to deliberate, it took them less than 4 hours to return. Richard showed no emotion when the judge read the verdict. Guilty on all counts of aggravated sexual assault of a minor. Guilty on kidnapping in the first degree. Guilty of unlawful imprisonment and torture. Guilty on multiple counts of coercion and threats. Sophia's verdict came next. Guilty on conspiracy and aiding and abetting. Guilty of unlawful imprisonment. Guilty on child endangerment and failure to protect. At sentencing, the judge spoke directly to both of them. To Mr. Hawthorne, he said, "You used wealth, status, and the illusion of respectability as a shield while you committed some of the most calculated and extended acts of abuse this court has ever seen. You did not act in anger or in a single moment of weakness. You acted in repetition in cold blood for years. For that, you will spend the rest of your natural life in prison. You are sentenced to multiple life terms without the possibility of parole." Richard looked straight ahead, jaw clenched, as if he still believed he could negotiate his way out. To Mrs. Hawthorne, the judge continued, "There are no excuses for what you did. Many people are poor. Many people feel powerless. Very few, when faced with their child's suffering, choose to side with the abuser to maintain a lifestyle. You had more chances than anyone else to stop this. You chose not to. You are sentenced to 35 years in state prison." Sophia sobbed. Not the delicate tears of the socialite people had known, but deep, wrenching sounds that echoed off the wood-paneled walls. Emily watched from the gallery, surrounded by victim advocates. She did not cheer. She did not cry. She just breathed deep, steady breaths, as if something heavy had finally lifted, even if the scars would remain forever. Thank you for watching this story all the way to this point. If you felt the chills, if you got hooked, or if you're ready for more real-life twists like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. I drop new true crime stories, shocking reveals, and deep dive mysteries every single week. Don't miss the next episode. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and I'll see you in the next case.